Humans navigate the world primarily through sight and sound, but in a dense forest, a blowfly can track down a fresh, isolated carcass without ever seeing or hearing it. They are following an entirely invisible landscape of chemical cues. This is chemoreception. Rather than a nose, insects use specialized physical receptors called sensilla to detect the chemical makeup of their environment. This multiporous olfactory sensillum collects airborne compounds. Volatile chemicals enter through tiny pore openings along the cuticle wall. Inside, they move through the receptor lymph to the dendritic membrane, triggering an action potential that travels out the axon to the fly's nervous system. This physical binding requires extreme precision. It relies on stereochemistry, the three-dimensional handedness of a molecule. If a chemical has the right formula but the wrong geometric shape, the receptor will not fire. This reliance on semiochemicals puts insects in a high-stakes environment. Every signal they send to survive is an open transmission that can be detected by allies and enemies alike. Within a species, these signals are called pheromones. A female housefly releases a specific compound called muscalure, which acts as a beacon that draws males toward a carcass to mate. After mating, blowflies deposit marking pheromones onto their eggs. This chemical signal tells other females that a site is high quality, leading to the massive larval aggregations that allow maggots to collectively overwhelm a food source. Insects also respond to pheromones, gases like dimethyl trisulfide that are released by non-living decomposing tissue. These sulfur-rich compounds serve as the initial long-distance attractant for the first waves of flies. Sometimes this communication benefits two different species. Bacteria on a corpse release volatile compounds that attract flies. The flies get a meal, while bacteria are transported to new resources on the flies' bodies. This mutually beneficial exchange is coordinated by pheromones. While these cooperative signals help species thrive, emitting any chemical message into the air carries the risk of detection by a predator. When a signal is intercepted by a different predatory species, it's known as a pheromone. In this scenario, the sender is unintentionally leading a hunter straight to its location. Predatory yellowjacket wasps are experts at this. They actively hunt flies on carrion by tracking the fly's own sex pheromones back to the source. Other insects use chemicals as active weapons. These are allomones, compounds intentionally released to harm or repel a different species. The hairy maggots of the blowfly Chrysomia rufifiés use allomones to dominate a carcass, secreting chemicals that stunt competing species. Physically and chemically adapted to monopolize resources, their prominent spines allow them to navigate while their secretions clear out competition. These insects are biologically programmed to respond to specific chemical cues. Because these responses are hard-coded into their nervous systems, they are often incapable of ignoring a signal, even if that signal has been compromised. Because sensilla are tuned to specific chemical geometries, insects lack the ability to adapt if that signal is spoofed. If they detect the right molecule, they must react. This vulnerability is the basis of integrated pest management. By synthesizing these chemical signals, we can enter the insect's communication network to protect agricultural resources. Agriculturalists deploy bait buckets across fields to draw in targeted populations. By placing a concentrated source of attractant in one spot, they can clear thousands of insects from the surrounding crops. These traps use a lethal combination: pheromones that mimic food, sex pheromones to draw the target species, and a pesticide to eliminate them. While mass trapping removes active adults, the most sophisticated strategies focus on preventing the next generation from ever forming. In a strategy called mating disruption, humans flood an entire environment with synthetic sex pheromones. This creates a state of habituation. The insect's physical receptors become overloaded by the constant chemical noise. They essentially become unable to distinguish a single scent plume from the background saturation of the field. Males end up flying aimlessly, unable to locate a female. This delay is often long enough that females are forced to reabsorb their unfertilized eggs to maintain their own energy levels, causing the local population to collapse. By decoding the specific chemical geometries insects use to navigate the world, we have found a way to repurpose their own sensory hardware to manage their populations.